What's up, y'all? This is John and Caleb back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, you can find us on Millions and as a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Mike is not able to join us tonight. He has some family stuff going on, helping his in-laws move this weekend, and so you stuck with the two of us. But Mike and I are going to be back on Wednesday for a Texas interview. Got somebody different than last year. We're really excited for that. But how have you been? What are you drinking?
Well, I am drinking a homemade milkshake, and I want to apologize in advance in case you hear any noise coming through the mic, because there are a bunch of boys in my yard right now. But jokes going right over a lot of people's heads. Anyway. Including yours, I guess.
I know you live in a neighborhood and you have a kid, so I figured there's just like kids playing outside.
I guess that is entirely possible around here. But I'm doing pretty good. Yesterday, my wife went to a little craft show, and she brought home this thing that you can't hardly see with the background being the way it is. It is a desktop disc golf net with some mini discs. So I'm going to take it to work with me tomorrow, just so I have something to kind of just casually toss stuff into, because it's got a little mini disc to throw. So if you see me doing this throughout the night, that's why. But I wanted to show that off because I thought that was really cool. So how are you doing?
Good. So I do want to say the one thing that works perfectly as a disc for that basket. I've got a friend with one. Bottle caps. If you lose all the discs, bottle cap will putt just as well.
I bet it will. Awesome.
But no, I'm good. Watched the Georgia game yesterday, and then played a glow-in-the-dark disc golf tournament. I'll be honest, I don't have any clue where I placed. I got the same score both rounds, which was good for 12.
Okay.
I think. Okay. In the first round, and I scored the same in the second round, so probably somewhere around the same. But
yeah,
ton of fun. Helped my brother-in-law move out this weekend, so y'all won't hear the beagle in the background anymore.
Yes.
But no, it's all good. We're excited. He's excited. This is one of the first times he's really lived on his own as an adult. He went from his parents' house to married to my house, so he's looking forward to it and getting the bachelor life for the first time, which is exciting for him. And it's not too far away, so we can still help out whenever's needed, and he can, importantly, come watch the Dogs when we go to Athens for Georgia games. Yes.
Good deal.
But I got some water because when you go to a disc golf tournament and they have 3 30-packs of beer, you probably drink a little too much of it. So trying to get back right before the week gets started here. Speaking of getting back right, this was well, I was gonna say this was a get right week for a lot of teams, but it
felt like a separation week. Yeah. Because the top 5 or 6, I'll include Ole Miss in there. Why not? Did enough to show you, okay, these guys are actually playing ball, maybe with the exception of Indiana. But hey, surviving in a tight game on the road like that, I won't fault you for that. And then everybody else in the top 25 seemed to either lose or get close to losing, or just wasn't performing. Other than, I guess, Miami, but they were also playing against arguably the worst Power 4 team in the country.
Yeah, Syracuse, they have struggled significantly since
their injury issues happened.
Yes, Steve Angeli, that's the name I was looking for.
Yes.
Quarterback Steve Angeli, as soon as he got hurt, it was rough. It was rough.
Every time I hear his name, and I'm going to sound like a total nerd for this, but I don't know if there are any Pokemon fans out there who know the Pokemon Tangela, but there's a
Okay.
streamer I watch, and every time he refers to him, he refers to it as Tangeli. So every time I hear Steve Angeli, I just think of a little ball of weeds with eyes and legs.
I'm gonna be honest. I think of Angelica from the Rugrats.
That is also a great shout.
That. But the first game we're talking about, and I have a couple of hot takes when it comes to this. But talking, just mentioning for a minute because I don't think either of us spent a ton of time watching this on the same time as the Georgia game. BYU at Texas Tech, and just full transparency, I didn't watch a whole lot of this in real time. I've watched a lot of highlights. I've gone over the box score, um, but Texas Tech did cover a 10.5 point spread at home. The over of what was the over at the time, because it definitely did not hit the under hit whatever it was, because
Yeah,
it's a
it's
Big
a very
12
low
game.
scoring
It
game.
was absolutely not 36. Um,
This game did pretty much go exactly like we said it would, though. I mean, we pretty much said that BYU didn't really stand a chance. To Texas Tech was just kind of going to kind of walk all over them.
yeah, and one of the big things for Texas Tech is that held to they held BYU to not really. Their BYU got a number of 10 to 20 yard plays.
Mm-hmm.
They only got one at a time. It was a 20 yard play, 0 yards, 0 yards, 0 yards punt.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of how the game went for them. It doesn't help that they had two fumbles lost in this one, but the hot take that I have, and I'm not even sure if it's that hot of a take if you try to be unbiased about this. Texas Tech may be the best team in the country when they're healthy.
Yeah.
And look, guys, that I understand that Ohio State exists. And I understand that as far as numbers go, Ohio State has really good numbers.
Yeah.
That's undeniable.
High talent composition, all these things. Yeah.
Here's the problem. When it comes to Ohio State's strength of schedule, their strength of schedule is 41st in the country, and their remaining strength of schedule is 31st.
Yeah. I was actually gonna really dig into this. Um, I was really gonna talk about it more with the Texas A&M and Missouri game, but since you're bringing it up, like when you look at the top three teams, the three undefeated teams that are left, like Ohio State's best win is against a Texas team that hadn't figured itself out yet,
Mm-hmm.
and second best is against a team that just lost to Wisconsin.
Yep.
Indiana, their best win is against a team that just had to kick a field goal at the last second against Iowa to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then Texas A&M, who, depending on how you look at it, their best win is either a 1 point win against Notre Dame, who I don't need to say anything else for Notre Dame, or a win on the road against a team on their third string quarterback.
Um,
I'm probably forgetting the Texas A&M game in there as well because they've beaten like ranked teams. I just don't feel like they've beaten ranked teams at their best.
I, so while LSU does not deserve to be ranked, Texas A&M did blow out LSU in Death Valley at night and force them to pay $53 million to fire a coach.
Yeah,
And there's
that's. I
something
mean,
to be said for that.
there is something to be said there. It's mildly impressive, but like you're not getting there is no reason to look at those teams and say that they are significantly better than a Texas Tech who has when healthy steamrolled every team that they've played and played a couple of teams that at least had an outside shot of making the playoff. It's not like you can say they played nobody. No, they haven't played any lesser teams than the ones in the top three have. So
And yeah, and so to go through, and this is ESPN strength of schedule. A&M is 15th, Indiana is 33rd, Ohio State 41st, Alabama 6th, Georgia 11th, Ole Miss 32nd. So the only two around the top 10 are Alabama and Georgia, and that's because they played each other.
Yep.
Um, to be fair, Georgia also had a one-loss Ole Miss team on there. Yeah,
Undefeated at the time.
undefeated at the time, but currently and probably will finish the season one-loss Ole Miss. Um, so, I mean, there is something to be said for that, but that's one of the things that even though the playoff poll, like we went through our issues with it because
Yeah.
there are a number of them, right? The thing about the playoff poll is it does play itself out. It's not like the old BCS or even the first playoff format of where to the top four was so
Yeah.
important that it mattered if you were first and second or first or second.
Yeah.
And here, like Georgia being at 5, it's like win the rest of your games and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Like Texas A&M, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia. Like two of those teams are going to play each other in Atlanta, and it'll sort itself out. And if the rest of them end up finishing unscathed, then yeah, they should all host a playoff game. That's why they're in that position.
And where Texas Tech ends up in the playoff ranking, it'll be interesting because
Yeah.
as of right this moment, I believe it's still it's still going to be Texas Tech and BYU in the conference championship game as of this
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that if it's, I mean, I said this in my playoff prediction a couple of weeks ago. If you have to decide which team gets a first round bye between a 12-1 Texas Tech team that's conference champions and an 11-1 Georgia team that did not make the conference championship game, I would take Texas Tech. I would put them in a first round bye.
Oh,
Not
for sure.
necessarily say I'd pick them on a neutral site, but I feel like they would have earned that spot.
I would agree with that. Um,
I might pick
and
them on a neutral site, though, to be honest.
um, interesting is in week 12, not week 12, in week 13, BYU and Cincinnati, who are second and third in the Big 12, play each other,
Ooh. So
which
Texas Tech plays the winner of that game in all likelihood.
Texas Tech plays the winner of BYU at Cincinnati on November 22nd.
Mm.
And with Georgia playing 1-8 Charlotte that day, we will have plenty of time to not care about the 1-8 Charlotte 49ers. Um, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them, but
Oh
like at
no.
the same time, you've earned my disrespect by not being able to win a football game.
Yeah, that's fair. They won a football game.
All right.
Don't know who was against or if it was even against an FBS opponent, but they got a win.
Um,
All right. You want to talk about a different team from Texas now?
I would not love to, but I guess I have
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
A&M at Mizzou. A&M covered the 7.5 points, and the over of 47.5 hit. And full transparency, I only got to watch, I would say, half of the first half
Hmm.
of this game, so I don't have a whole lot of significant takes on this one, other than from what I watched. A&M just did more or less whatever they wanted and occasionally got stopped, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah. I will say the Missouri defense really put up a fight for a lot of the first half. Like I mean it was scoreless for ages. Um and even when it was 7-0, like the offense was trying to do what it could and the defense was holding its own until that I don't even know if in the stat sheet, I don't know if it counts as a strip sack or a pick six because the way the ball was coming out, it didn't matter if it would have been ruled a fumble or a forward pass because it was caught in the air by a defender and run back for a touchdown. And after that point, yeah, it felt like Mizzou just gave up and let Texas A&M just kind of steamroll them.
It was a fumble recovery because it
It
shows
was
on
it
the
was ruled
stats that A&M had 0 interceptions.
okay, gotcha. So they called it a fumble. Yeah, was a kind of a wild play off of a tip in the air, and it's just one of those things where as soon as the Texas A&M defender grabbed the ball, it's like, what do you do?
Yeah.
He's already most of the way to the end zone. That's just what it is. But yeah, after that point, it felt like Missouri was just like, well, we're not winning this game.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
Multiple Georgia players on that Missouri team, which I mean that's not a reason to like or dislike them, but just man, you're on your third string quarterback. Ahmad Hardy is not your leading rusher in this game. Jamal Roberts kind of took over at one point.
Mm,
You're giving up 3 sacks to Texas A&M, who I'm pretty sure is leading the country in sacks. Like I just at some point, what do you do?
mm,
You're overmatched. You're beat down, broken, and abused. Like you just you can fight, but you're trying to punch through a brick wall and it ain't gonna happen.
yeah. And I hate it for Missouri. It always seems like the last few years they've just kind of been fingertips away and something's just happened
Yeah.
and taken them away. Because you and I both thought they were a legitimate playoff contender this year, and
Oh,
then
for
Bo
sure.
Pribula gets hurt, and what can you do, you know?
Yeah. And they managed to play around Bo Perbula's mistakes at certain points throughout the year. It's not
Hmm.
like he played great in every game, but with this being the third loss, and I don't care that it's the third loss against the number 3 team in the country. You could make a legitimate argument for Texas A&M to be number 1 or 2, but they're probably still number 3.
Hmm.
But it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, if this was last season and you didn't have already 5 SEC teams that were probably going to finish with 2 or less losses,
Hmm.
maybe they'd have a shot.
Right.
But they're just not going to get in with that.
All right. This next game was embarrassing,
Yeah.
and I think everyone who played in this game is slightly embarrassed. Uh,
Yes, as they should be. I will say, obviously, LSU more so.
yeah.
Talking about LSU Alabama, because to me, and I don't know if anyone else felt this way, when I was watching this game, I felt like I was watching the game between Georgia and Alabama again, where it just seemed at times frustratingly so like LSU was just a moment or a big play or just anything away from getting back into this one and being a serious threat, but they never felt like a serious threat to win because that big moment just didn't come.
And so I watched the fourth quarter of this one, and when I got home, I saw that it was, former President Michael Van Buren playing quarterback. I was
Hmm.
very confused. Did not, I assumed that it was from an injury and not because Garrett Nussmeier, who we can't even call him by his nickname anymore because that was a cool nickname. So
Yeah, he doesn't deserve it.
I what I hate for him is that he's playing with worse rushing attack, significantly worse offensive line, and a lesser talented group of wide receivers than he had last year.
Hmm.
And he may have to transfer and go play somewhere else in college to get drafted at this point because the measurables don't matter if you look that bad the
Yeah,
season before you leave.
yeah, yeah. That at this point, if I'm him, I'm making phone calls to Dan Lanning and being like, okay, what can I do to get up there? Because
Uh, I
clearly
mean,
something ain't working in Baton Rouge.
honestly, and as a Georgia fan, and as mostly Georgia fans listening, y'all don't want to hear this. Depending on who gets hired at either Penn State or Florida, like those are big name programs that need a quarterback with a good skill set.
Oh yeah, if Fish goes to Florida, I'm calling them yesterday. If I'm Garrett Nussmeier,
Yeah, and I'm
like,
not sure. I'm not sure who Penn State's leaning towards, but
mhm.
ooh, oh, and this is the ideal world that I've made up where everything makes sense and it doesn't matter about someone's age. They get a job because they're good at the job and not because my daddy played football with his daddy,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that I'm going to get a head coaching job even though I don't deserve it. When in my fictional world where you get the job based on your merit and not who you know, Colin Klein as
Yeah,
the Arkansas head coach gets Garrett Nussmeier to play quarterback.
I could see that. I could see that working. I could really see that working.
It would be so much fun
Mm-hmm.
because nobody hates Arkansas
No,
except for kind of LSU because it's kind of a rivalry with the boot. But
right. And even
that
then, they
being
only really
said,
hate them when Arkansas has a chance to upset them, like
right,
they do on
like
occasion. It's like Georgia Tech for us. Like we hate them, but we also it's kind of nice to see them succeed right now.
so they play each other every year, LSU and Arkansas, and this
Hmm.
is this once again fictional world that I've made up. I would love to. LSU goes to Arkansas next year. Arkansas hires Colin Klein, gets Garrett Nussmeier out of the portal. Garrett Nussmeier welcomes in LSU to beat him
Mm.
as just one final screw you as he's the first Arkansas quarterback taken in the first round in God knows how long.
Mm. Yeah.
Just
He's delivering a speech in New York as part of an interview as a Heisman finalist, and he's just like, that other place. They
yeah,
uh they didn't really let me play free like I get to do.
yeah. I didn't have to worry about my coach forcing me onto heavy equipment in a thunderstorm in Fayetteville.
Yeah, golly.
All right, we've just made up a completely fictional scenario there because I wish this game was a
Honestly,
fictional
completely fictional
scenario.
scenarios are the only way to speak remotely positively about anything associated with LSU right now. So,
It, good lord, the fourth quarter I watched made LSU look like the most incompetent team in the country,
yeah.
and we're talking about this
Clemson
happened.
is playing football right now, and he's saying this.
We're talking about we are having a legitimate conversation about LSU having the worst offense in the SEC yesterday, in on a day in which Auburn almost upset Vanderbilt
Hmm.
in the craziest statement that's ever come out of my mouth, and Mississippi State put up 21 points against Georgia.
Yeah. If not for the fact that Florida is a dumpster fire,
Mm-hmm.
LSU would have had the worst offensive performance of the day.
I forgot Florida existed.
I mean, so did Florida. So,
Fair. I'm glad we don't have to talk about that because my sides would hurt from laughing so
yeah.
much about the fact that Florida, if they lose another game, in which they're going to number 6 Ole Miss next week, then they're hosting Tennessee the weekend of the 22nd, and then they're hosting Florida State. If they lose any of those games, they're not going to a bowl game this year.
The spoiler alert, they're going to lose all of them.
All right, I'm on a little bit of a deep dive now because could you imagine a world in which Florida and Florida State are throwing punches at halftime to see which one of them is going to a bowl game? Because Florida
The,
State's 4-5 and Florida's
yeah,
3-6.
3-6. The only reason I can't see that happening is because Florida's losing both of those games before them. But that would be very funny on Cartoon Network at 9 in the morning. These two teams are going at it
All
for a
right,
spot in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Ah,
don't disrespect Duke's Mayo Bowl like
oh,
that.
that's
They're
true. They get
going,
like 9-3 teams and stuff. You're right. You're right.
yeah. Like I don't know what the worst bowl game an SEC team can go to is, but like
We haven't
what's
been to that one in a
worse
long time, whatever it is. So I
Yeah, what's
understand.
worse than the Liberty Bowl?
Independence, is that still one?
I think so.
Oh, maybe that,
Over in Shreveport?
yeah.
Yeah, that one. No, I don't. And the worst part about this for LSU fans, because I do know some LSU fans that I don't hate. Um, I don't hate anybody. Some of y'all just annoy me to the point where I don't care about
Mhm.
recognizing or remembering your existence. Um, but like LSU was able to stop Alabama for the most part. Like
Yeah.
Alabama, 20 points is the least no, least amount of points Alabama has scored this season since that Florida State game.
Yeah. That
So
should have been enough.
right, holding Alabama to 20 points with the Alabama defense we've seen give up more than 20 points in all but one, two, three FBS Power Conference games this season, and you just couldn't score anything. You couldn't do
Yeah.
anything to make yourself look like a competent football team. When Auburn had a big interim energy, LSU just falls down and huddles in a corner and cries.
Yep. What can you do?
I will
Former
say,
President Michael Van Buren, at least you tried.
I will say, I feel phenomenal about me saying that LSU is not going to be as good as a lot of people were predicting this year.
Yeah.
I don't like that they're this bad, but I knew it
Yeah,
wasn't going to be good.
you can take the victory lap on that one. It's okay.
All right. Speaking of victory laps, let's go ahead and get into Georgia at Mississippi State. And I
You want to
know
hear a little fun fact?
I would love to hear a fun fact.
The fun fact is them dogs as hell.
I I, I concur. I do. I do want to say that this is absolutely the most explosive day that Georgia's offense has had since
By far.
what do you want to say? TCU? Was that the
E-
last time Georgia's
That's
offense was this explosive?
I think so. I think every other maybe Florida State, but
And
like even then they were just kind of moving down the field. It's not like they were popping off these ridiculous plays.
and so when I say that, I do have numbers to back it up. Georgia had one, two, three, four, five ball carriers with runs of 10 or more yards. Georgia had one, two, three, four, five, six receivers with receptions of 15 or more yards.
Four of those had 20 or more yards.
Yes. And Georgia had 8 sacks going into this game. They had three on the day.
Yeah,
Even the defense was explosive.
I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm not used to seeing our defenders this season. Just to put that in context, I'm not used to seeing our defenders go after a quarterback like he's a journalist who asked a stupid question about a commercial for blue jeans.
And man, even a defensive lineman got a sack. If you're
Yeah.
counting, he got half a sack, but
Still,
that is
it
only the
counts.
second defensive lineman to register even half of a sack for the University of Georgia this year.
Yep.
So that was
Two of them got half a sack, right?
um it depends on
Where you line up a
right.
certain sophomore. We'll get to him.
Yes. Um but no, like even on a day where Gunner wasn't especially accurate with his passes, in a day that Lawson Lucky gets taken out of the game by a a very inconvenient play.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't necessarily have the word to say what I'm trying to here, but it was very much not intentional. It was a bang
Yeah.
bang play in which if it was just the first hit, Lawson probably continues in this game.
Yeah.
But it was the first hit followed up by him the back of his head hitting the guy's knee and then the ground. And that just it's inconvenient because the guy obviously was not trying to be malicious there.
Yeah.
He was trying to make a play. Lawson was trying to make a play. Wrong place at the wrong time for everybody involved. And I will say, as a enjoyer of football and an appreciator of the Mississippi State secondary, which they struggled, but I still think that they are. If they didn't play in the SEC, if they played in the Big Ten or the ACC, this Mississippi State secondary would probably be one of the best in the conference.
Yeah.
And they lost a guy for the second half of the game, but it was at the end of the first half, so he gets to come back and play next week. And that's I
There we go.
I hate the you have like if it's in the it can be the first play of the second half, but you have to be out. No,
Yeah,
that's
no.
so dumb. I hate it.
I personally think there needs to be a difference between like flagrant and like I don't know what
Yes.
word you'd use for another one, but like if it's not flagrant, like give him the 15-yard penalty for being reckless. Maybe yeah, reckless and flagrant.
Right.
But don't suspend a guy unless you know like he was actively trying to hurt somebody.
Right. And so and this is something that I believe we had the conversation with Matt Austin about last preseason was the reason that the committee of officials say that they cannot do that is because you cannot officiate intent. I
Yeah.
I get
Eh.
that to a point, but there is quite literally a penalty in football called intentional grounding.
Yeah. There's apparently a penalty in football for clapping in a way that you are clearly trying to get the defense to jump off sides that they
Mm-hmm.
sometimes call when you're playing against Florida.
Uh-huh. So
That's an
like
intent penalty. So
yeah, and I'm not a fan of saying you can't officiate intent, but like
what I am a fan of,
yes,
this Georgia team was up at halftime. 3 scores.
yeah. Um, and if Mississippi State had not had their starters in against Georgia's third string defense, it would have been a 41-14 game.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you what I really liked about, though, specifically the halftime thing. Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart on that last drive before halftime. Despite being up 10 points, they still treated the drive like they were down and needed to score before halftime.
Yeah.
I really liked the urgency there. I liked that they seemed like they really wanted to dominate this game and not
Yes.
just win it. That's something we haven't really seen all season, including in kind of the cupcake games. Like I know we beat Marshall 42-7. Didn't feel very dominant in that win like it did this week. Um, and the team responded to the challenge really well to dominate in this game. It could have gone off the rails early in the game too.
Oh, it absolutely could have.
Yeah, we get down the field. We're already losing. We fumble it near the goal line on another one of those calls that was probably going to stick with what was called on the field no matter what because it was really close.
Yep.
But what Georgia did not do was cry about it.
Fair.
In, instead of acting like the call was some kind of conspiracy against our team, Georgia just went and forced a fumble the other way, got the ball back.
Yep. Ball don't
Because
lie.
turns out the best way to win football games, even when it seems like things are working against you, is just to keep playing winning football.
Yeah.
Take notes, Auburn and Florida. But I mean, that doesn't really matter because Auburn and Florida are incapable of playing winning football. So they couldn't do anything but whine and cry.
Yeah. Um, I will say I I hate that Blake Shapen also got hurt in this game.
Yeah, I
I
hate that too.
I do love the play that it happened on,
Hmm.
but he's a guy that I've wanted to watch him play healthy football with a good team for what feels like years because
Yeah.
Blake Shapen played if y'all aren't familiar with his career because most people aren't. I'm a sicko in that way. He played for Baylor for what is that? 3 years before
Yeah.
he went to Mississippi State.
Yeah. Won the
And
Big 12 with them, as the commentary was very quick to point out.
yeah, and like this, and next thing you know, he goes to Mississippi State. Season-ending injury last year.
Hmm.
The He's got 2,200 passing yards this season. Like 15 touchdowns. Does he have 6 interceptions? Sure. Does he also have an
That's
offensive
fewer
line?
than certain former Georgia quarterbacks have right now.
Fair. But does he also have an offensive line that appears to hate him? Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, and the broadcast was very good to bring this out. And I don't know the names of the guys that were on the crew for this game, but I really enjoyed the fact that they brought in clarifying details about certain things. Like
Yeah.
they talked about how this is the what is it ninth different offensive line combination Mississippi State started the game with due to injuries. They talked about like every little detail that's like, okay, they're not really this bad. They've just quite literally never played a game together before.
Yeah.
Like Brennan Thompson is the fastest wide receiver in college football. Love that.
Oh yeah.
Like all the different because it feels like a lot of times when some of these smaller schools and no disrespect to Mississippi State, when these smaller schools are playing national brands and top five teams, it just seems like it's just a love letter to the top five team. And the crew for this game did not make it feel like that. And I
Yeah.
appreciated it.
Yeah. There was a lot of respect for Mississippi State to go around on that crew and the way they handled everything. And again, I as a lover of the game, I want to know more about the teams Georgia's playing against. I want to know the stories. I want it makes the game more fun to watch.
Which is why we do the which is why we do this the way we do. It's why we have the interviews. Like before, if we had not talked to Sarthik, and I'm a guy that I try to pay attention to many SEC teams I can,
Mm-hmm.
I would have never known that Kamario Taylor was an extremely explosive true freshman quarterback. That all but one play that he's been on this season have gone for touchdowns before he came into this game. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
And
He's a dude, and I also like kind of knew his name going into this and knew he had gotten the jump. This guy can ball, and I'm
yes,
excited to see what he does.
if he can get a little more accurate with the passing, and who knows how long
Mhm.
Blake Shapen will be out. With the way they immediately took his helmet and pads, you would assume that it's a pretty significant concussion.
Yeah.
Um, like I want to see Kamario Taylor play more this season, and that's I was gonna say he's gonna have a little bit of a good opportunity to get started. And next week he's playing one of the better pass rushing teams in the conference in Mizzou. So
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy, but
no, um, but no,
sometimes you throw a kid into the fire and he succeeds. So
yeah, and he was at 60% completion on the day yesterday for what he did. He went 6-10, and in 6 attempts he had more passing yards than Blake Shapen did in 10
yeah.
completions. I should say, not attempts. Um, But I mean, Georgia just played a hell of a game and never let up. And
Mm.
this is kind of what we all expected to see from Georgia this season with the weapons on offense and you know the defense that we thought had the ability to actually stop other teams. And to be fair, Georgia gave up 322 yards, total yards on the
Yeah.
day. Not necessarily good.
They didn't give up the big explosives though, except one at the end with the second string in.
And the fact that you can only give up one explosive passing play to Brennan Thompson means you did your job.
Yeah, because that dude will go off.
He's going to be drafted like 26 by the Chiefs,
Hmm.
and then no one's going to, he's going to get like 4 plays until they get in the Super Bowl, and he's going to have like 3 touchdowns just
Yeah.
because that's how the Chiefs draft people. Like, oh, you're the fastest guy in the draft? Sure, we'll take you and then hide you until the Super Bowl.
I feel like this is very personal about a very specific player that we know pretty well.
Uh, Multiple.
Yeah,
They did it with Mecole. They did
that's
it with
that's the person
Xavier
I was
Worthy.
thinking of. But
Well,
yeah,
they did
you're
it with
right.
Xavier Worthy too. Like
They did.
you know, one thing that I did like about Georgia getting this lead is you had guys, especially in the running back room, that don't necessarily get a ton of playing time, get into the game and get real snaps against real teams. Bo Walker.
But Walker looked so good out there.
I, if I didn't know better, and I know we've made this comparison about a few different guys, but if I didn't know better, that man was bouncing off of tackles like former Georgia running back that wore number 27.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited about that. I love anytime we get to see Peanut Dwight Phillips in the game.
Hmm.
I think he's going to be a phenomenally explosive running back when he gets his chance. Um, Jeremy Bell, Dylan's brother, got in the game.
Yes, I was so happy
Um,
to see that
and
on the.
then, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say on the jet sweep, he just looked like nothing was going to get between him and those chains, and it was amazing.
Yes. And a guy that got very little playing time, a guy that got 3 carries, 5 yards, Josh McCray. He blocked. He was in on a number of
Mm,
passing plays in which he blocked. He was in on that one insane conversion that fooled everyone in the stadium and the cameraman of Gunner faking the handoff. And then Josh McCray gets like 5 yards and just stands there, and everybody's like,
yeah,
wait, what?
he
And
doesn't
then
have it.
Gunner's putting himself and 4 defenders in the spin cycle 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage before getting the first down. Like that was, but Josh McCray sold it, and the
Yeah,
defense was so scared of him that it gave up what Gunner was able to get. And there's a lot of things about the performance yesterday that were awesome, but everybody doing their job, downfield blocking by the wide receivers and the
yeah.
tight ends.
Zachariah Branch on that Noah Thomas touchdown blocked a guy about 50 yards.
Yes. The buy-in that you get from this team, the appreciation for each other.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want to throw last year's team under the bus because I think last year's team just came down to the behavior and personality of one guy. Y'all know
Yeah,
who that is. I don't need to say it.
yeah, and we know, but everybody else around him caused a lot of those comebacks to happen late in the season,
Yes.
and so that's why we don't throw the whole team under the bus.
Right. And there were guys that played in multiple national championship teams and made huge plays, including blocking downfield 4 games in these national championships that last season just appeared to not care.
Yeah.
And we all know kind of the reason behind that, but this is something I posted on social media that I do want to bring up because we're big Zachariah Branch stands just like everybody else
Mm-hmm.
in Dog Nation. Zachariah Branch can statistically still reasonably get to 1,000 yards this season.
Yeah. Now it
And
would help
so,
if Georgia continues to win, so we can play more games.
yes, that so if Georgia plays 12 regular season games, 1 postseason game, whether that be, it doesn't matter what it is, 1 postseason game, so 13 total. The rest of the year, he would need to average 115 receiving yards per game.
Not too far off from what he did last week, so
Yep.
doable.
At 14 games, 92. 15 games, 77. 16 games, 66.
I think we're going to get 14 or 15 at least, so that is very doable.
Yes. And so he's actually been averaging. Hold on. I had this number somewhere. Here we go. He's been averaging 60.2. So got to step that up a little bit, but
he's been escalating though in the last few weeks.
I was about to say in the first few games he was only on screen passes. I think he caught like 5 passes beyond the line of scrimmage until the Alabama game.
I've got it here. Against Kentucky, he had 18 yards. Against Auburn, he had 57. Against Ole Miss, he had 71. Florida, 112. Mississippi State, 68. So it's been on an increase.
Yeah.
And he went from having 4 receptions a game to having 9 or 10.
So
in a hurry.
Boy, it sure is possible, and I hope because he'd be the first guy since Terrence Edwards in 2003.
And as much as he has done for this offense, that would just be a really good way to stamp that in.
And that would be because I guarantee you, schools use Georgia's receiving history against Georgia to get transfers.
Oh yeah.
And if they were able to say, "Hey, we got 1,000-yard receiver from a transfer that Lincoln Riley didn't know how to use, but Mike Bobo did." You want to talk about the guys that you can convince to come to your program with just that statement. All right. Is there anything else that we've forgotten about in this game?
I wanted to make a quick note about that 4th down play.
Okay.
So
how could I forget?
Yeah. So if anyone else forgot, it's a 4th and 3, I think, in Mississippi State territory, late in the game ish. But a real spot where we could just really put the dagger in and put the game away. Um, Brett Thorson gets out there. Well, first Gunnar Stockton is out there like they're going to go for it.
Yep.
Kirby Smart calls a timeout. Brett Thorson comes out there to punt. And then they do the scramble everybody off and get the offense back on, which is brilliant because in case you don't know this is how that works, the defense does have to get time to substitute.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know, you don't have time to figure out what personnel that the offense is running. You just got to put guys on the field and tell them to make a play. So Mississippi State realizes they've got a bad set of personnel, gets it and calls a timeout. So then Brett Thorson goes back out. Okay, yeah, they're punting this time. Nope, we swap again. And this time we get Mississippi State to jump off sides. And I'll tell you where I think this comes from because like obviously I mean we saw Notre Dame do this to Georgia in the playoff game last year.
We certainly did.
It's not like Kirby Smart just cooked this up in his head. Like the best coaches in the world are thieves. Everybody knows that. But I think the person who decided this is a thing we need to do was not Kirby Smart. I think it was Brett Thorson. Because he just wants to get on the he just wants to get on the field. And I fully believe. I think he mentioned he tried to talk Kirby into letting him throw for a fake at one point, and I think this was the compromise he had to make.
I love that. And you're bringing up a good point about how he hasn't had a lot of opportunities to punt. And that's because Georgia, according to ESPN, which we know is not going to be all that favorable.
It's not 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be very favorable to Georgia because of the Mike Bobo angle and ESPN, unless you're running a wide open veer and shoot or a West Coast or spread offense. They don't care.
Yeah.
Georgia still has the 8th most efficient offense in the country, according to them.
Yeah. Some sites have them as the number 1 most efficient offense. Brett Thorson has punted 23 times this year.
And how many times has he punted in the last few games?
Let's see. Alabama, he punted 4 times. Florida was 6. That's the most he's had in a while. But Kentucky 1, Auburn 3, Mississippi State 2. And but the Ole Miss game is completely omitted from his stat line because he punted 0 times.
Yep. So we at some point Kirby's gonna have to let him throw or block or get out there and let him play defensive end. We know he knows how to make.
He can tackle.
Because we're trying to get our boy drafted, and
yes.
If he doesn't see the field, it's gonna be difficult.
It's gonna be hard. Yeah. He's gonna have tape from his freshman year punt at the 1-yard line against Tennessee, and that's all he's got.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got plenty of tape from that 2024 season.
Very fair. But I still do want to bring up, it has not been a year since Brett Thorson tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And he ran off the field twice. Right then.
With what I would call athletic pace, for sure.
Yes, and so not only was that play, did I enjoy that it worked? Did I enjoy that they tried something new? Because that's something that a lot of people criticize Kirby about is his lack of creativity and unwillingness to let other people be creative. But if you looked at the personnel that they ran on the field and off the field, the first fire drill punt formation, and the personnel that came on the field or went off the field for the second fire drill punt formation, it was entirely different skill players.
Yeah.
So they had multiple of those lined up ready to go. And boys, y'all want to talk about creativity?
Yeah. Kirby Smart got them to jump off sides by shifting personnel, by the way, because they thought they called the timeout. We've got something figured out, ready to go now. Oh, this looks different now. We can't waste another timeout on this. So
yeah,
we're stuck, and they were antsy.
And
Kirby Smart is better than your team's coach.
Facts. But that was also understanding the rules, the way they're written and enforced in 2025. We talked about this with Matt Austin in the preseason. It's not just that, like, defense can't walk on and off the field and cause delay a game on the offense anymore
Mm-hmm.
because that it's not necessarily a time limit, but that the officials have the ability to make the decision. You're not doing it with pace, they can snap the ball.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a sense of urgency when you do it this year, and Kirby took advantage of that. The second time, I'm not sure if they did anything with their defensive formation because they were just like, all right, is what it is. We're cooked.
Yeah.
Um, so I truly a coaching masterclass in this one by
Mm-hmm.
Kirby and the boys.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go ahead and get into awards?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's give some of these individuals some time to shine because I don't think we've talked about any of these folks
No,
going into this, which is great because it's going to be fresh. And I know there's a name on this list that people are like, "How have you not brought this guy up yet?" Don't worry,
we're about to.
we're getting to.
Oh, good Lord. The Chargers just got a safety on Aaron Rodgers in which he backpedaled into the end zone and then dropped the ball and landed on it.
That's funny.
So it is
That's
a
very funny.
3-2 NFL game with 5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Love it.
All right,
All
so
right.
I'll take the middle two this week.
That works. All right. So offense, obviously, it's Nate Frazier. Obviously, it can't be anyone else but Nate Frazier. And bravo to you for. I've heard so many people asking why he's on the field, saying he's lost his starting job to Chauncey Bowens, which the way those two have played, I get it. Chauncey Bowens may still be the number one guy after this game, but Nate Frazier made himself a statement with 12 carries, 188 yards, 15 yards a carry, including that 59-yard touchdown run. It looks to me at the beginning of the season, it looked like he was basically deliberately told, like, I need you to start trying to run guys over and run through tackles instead of just trying to shift around them or find
Mm-hmm.
something on the outside. And I think that made him a better back. It just didn't make him as productive in those games. And I guess now they've told him to cut loose because he was being shifty and moving around, and he could run through people if he needed to. And it made some great stuff. And you made a comparison between one running back and a certain great earlier.
I did.
Nate Frazier, a lot of people wanted to compare him to like a big Todd Gurley, Nick Chubb type guy. To me, he's a lot like No Sean Marino.
Okay.
And I say this as somebody who adored No Sean Marino. 12 carries for 188 yards sounds like a No Sean Marino stat line. Um,
Yeah.
I actually think that's like really. Now I kind of want to look up his stat line against Auburn in 2007 because it seemed I think he got 188 yards in that game, maybe on more carries. But I just have to now that that thought has crossed my mind,
I'm
look
looking it
that
up
up.
now.
Oh, only 101
Oh,
yards. The team got 180 on that day. But at some point, I feel like he's gotten 188 rushing yards exactly. Regardless, Nate Frazier coming out party in 2025. Good on you, and I hope he continues to build on that success because I mean we knew we could have some success running the ball against Mississippi State. I don't think anybody expected this.
yeah. And so, um, I don't hate the No Sean comparison, but I also like a Kenny McIntosh
Yeah,
comparison. Just the way that he runs reminds me a lot of a Kenny McIntosh.
I
But
I get that. Yeah, because
it
it felt frantic at times with Kenny McIntosh, but it was a lot of controlled chaos with him, and I can see that with some of those Nate Frazier runs.
yeah. And so with I will say he did get that 59-yard touchdown. But he also had what was it, a 60 something yard run where he got tackled at the 2.
Yeah,
But like it's not like that was his best play of the day. That was just the one where he didn't get barely slightly tripped up at the line of scrimmage for the guy to catch up to him.
yeah.
Um, insane day. But so specifically with Nate, I've waited all episode to bring this up. So Kirby and the staff, they're all about connection, and that's
Mhm.
something that was big with the national championship teams was connection. And somebody asked, how Nate was, what was his mentality or thoughts after um, this big of a game, and he's had some struggles this season, and like how'd you get him to come back and be there and be present and kind of you know come back from that Alabama fumble because it's a huge play.
Yeah.
And Kirby said that Nate plays emotionally. He didn't say with emotion. He said
Hmm.
emotionally, and you could see that after his touchdowns in this game. Like every
Yeah.
time he scores a touchdown, he's down on his knees, like praising God, and like he takes everything personally.
Hmm.
Um, but then Kirby went and talked about how they contacted the parents of every player that traveled to this game and said, send us a video clip of you telling stories about taking your player to a little league football game when we had to we were getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and like jumping up and down and excited to play at 7 kind of thing. And uh and that he said the thing was he wanted everybody to remember what it was like to be excited to play football. Not be nervous,
Hmm.
not think you've got a point to prove, but be excited to get out there and have the opportunity to go play the game. And it seemed like that was a mentality. Hopefully, that's a mentality and emotional turning point for this
Yeah.
season because it seems like the entire team
It's
played like a
shifted.
weight was lifted off their shoulders this week.
Yeah. I wanted to bring this up because a lot of people like to say, like, oh, it's joyless murder ball when a team runs over another team like that. And it was definitely murder ball, but this team was taking an awful lot of joy in doing it.
Yeah, and man, like I would pay money to see that video because I think he
Mhm.
said it was like a 15-20 minute
Yeah.
video of all these parents telling stories, and he's like, yeah, a lot of players were crying at the end of it, but it's, I bet, I
Yeah.
bet. Um, but no, I that's one of those things that Kirby knows how to coach his team to the best of his ability
Hmm.
every year because
Yeah.
every team's different.
It's different. Yeah.
Every
There are other
single
years where this might not have worked, but it
yeah,
worked this year.
absolutely. So for the defense, we're bringing up a guy that we haven't talked a ton about this year. I talked about him early because he kind of surprised me with getting the playing time that he was, and he didn't lead the team in tackles in this game, but he's a guy that I think needs more love from the fan base as a whole, um, and that's Quintavious Johnson,
Hmm.
linebacker, wears number 33. He finished the day with 5 tackles, half a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss, and a pass breakup. But he's a guy that's probably never going to fill up the stat sheet.
Hmm.
He is an outside linebacker that plays more of a defensive end role. Like a if it was a 4-3 defense, he would be a defensive end in the position that he plays on the field. He's not your Jalen Walker type outside
Hmm.
linebackers.
He's a lot more of a Nolan Smith role.
He's a lot more of a Chaz Chambliss role.
Yeah, that's a better comp. You're exactly right.
And at times were Georgia fans infuriated with Chaz Chambliss? Sure. So far, Quintavious Johnson has never been in the wrong place at the wrong
Hmm.
time.
Yep.
He's never been in the right place at the wrong time. He's been at the right place at the right time every time he has been on that field. You don't see runs getting around the outside of his end of the formation. He is he is he's a role player on this
Hmm.
team. He is not like C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, Justin Williams, Chris Cole. All these guys as linebackers are going to get so much more attention because of the emphasis that Kirby Smart defenses have on the inside linebacker position. But Quintavious Johnson, he's not the hero we need or whatever the Batman line is, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
He's he's the
I
yeah, whatever it is.
yeah,
But yeah, he is the only comparison I could think of is sometimes on an offensive line when you see defensive guys coming, your job is to collect them and then push them on to the next guy, to the guy next to you.
mm-hmm,
And Quintavious Johnson is that guy for this defense. He makes sure nobody's getting past him so that the only place they can go is right into the arms of a CJ Allen or a Raylan Wilson.
Yeah.
And he plays that role so selflessly and so well.
Yes. And he's a guy that every single time you catch a glimpse of him on the sideline, he is by the coaches. He's by Glenn Schumann, who you can hate Glenn Schumann as a defensive coordinator. He is one of the best linebacker coaches of the last 20 years in college football, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Look at the guys that he has put into the first round that are starting linebackers in the NFL. Because he was in the linebacker room at Alabama for years before he came to Athens.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best linebacker coaches that we have seen in this century is Glenn Schumann. And Quintavious is always right next to him. He's always listening. He's always finding a way to get better if he is not on the field. He's always ready. He's not one of those guys that gets over to the sideline. He pulls his helmet off mad because he isn't in on this third down. Like, he turns around, unbuckles his chin strap, and starts asking questions every time. And that's, once again, he may not be the flashiest player, but it's that type of player that can win you championships.
Right.
And I love it. Another guy that fills a very similar role for the offense is the...
Walker went 16 yards. He drove right over Orange Church, just driving and running with those big guys. My God, a freshman.
Player of the game, and that is Dontrell Glover. And we've probably been one of the few podcasts to mention Dontrell Glover multiple times throughout the season. But he has been nasty, filling in at right guard quite a bit. And that's a spot that Juan Gaston played a lot. Dontrell played for Juan. And then in this game, I'm not sure if Ernest Green got injured or if, they just thought that he needed a break or whatever the reason is. Ernest Green was no longer playing right tackle late in this game. So Juan Gaston, true freshman Juan Gaston, moved over from playing right guard to playing right tackle. And he was nasty.
Oh,
so what do? You have Drew Bobo out for a portion of this game. You move your right guard to right tackle. So you have the center and right guard, guys that are not normally playing in these spots. And Dontrell Glover goes out there and is one of the most impressive offensive linemen on the day. The right side of the offensive line was not a question all day.
They're catching bodies all day.
I'm not worried about the freshmen on the offensive line.
No.
Everybody else has been a concern at points.
Yeah.
Those two, I don't.
Lights out. Lights out.
Not concerned.
They haven't been.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, they haven't just been like good for freshmen. They're holding their own in a tough situation. No, these guys are the heart and soul of the offensive line right now as true freshmen.
These guys are quite literally tossing grown men who are seniors around the football field as 18-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And was what Ryan Williams did last year at Alabama extremely impressive? It was. To be 17 and doing what you were doing on the college level is insane. But there's a reason that you see a lot of freshman wide receivers and you don't see a lot of freshman linemen. Because it is a grown man's game in the trenches in the SEC. And these two, for lack of a better term, children, are beating grown men at a grown men game.
Yeah. And one thing I love too, again, we want to talk about fire, passion, energy. Both of these guys, Dontrell is especially quick at this. But once they get somebody on the ground, they are immediately, their eyes are on, okay, who can I hit next? Give me somebody to hit. And I love that.
Yeah. And these are the two that are always on running plays. They're the guys that are somehow in front of the running back.
Yes.
Like they've hit their block and 10, 12 yards downfield, you just see a giant Georgia jersey blowing up a cornerback that was just completely unaware
Yeah.
that he was about to get his soul crushed.
And he's probably doing that because there's already a defensive edge on the ground from where he's run through it. I mean, these guys are unbelievable.
And from going from the Tennessee and Alabama games, and to be fair, a lot of injuries on the offensive line from those games, but we legitimately called the right side of the offensive line a revolving door.
Yeah.
I called them saloon doors.
Yeah, I said that I called him a turnstile. I'm right there with you.
And in 3 weeks against some pretty significantly good teams in
Auburn might have the best defensive front in the nation.
Yeah, like they've completely turned it around from the Auburn game to now, and they allowed 0 sacks again.
Yeah.
And I just cannot say enough about the true freshmen that have come in and been able to play. And this is something that Kirby was asked about recently of, how do you get freshmen offensive linemen ready to play? You don't. They come
they better be ready
or they wait.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this team would be if they didn't come ready.
Yeah. Glad they did for sure. All right. And then for the Gunnar Stockton Lumberjack of the Week award, it's actually not going to Gunnar Stockton this week. He played very well. It's not a slight to him. There's just so many guys to highlight this week who really went above and beyond. And this time, because there's so many, we're cheating a little bit, giving it to a whole position group. The entire tight end room is the Lumberjack for this week. The arguably less important but flashier part of what they did in this game combined for 4 receptions for 65 yards. Elias Williams had a crazy one on the sidelines where he could have put his hands on the top of a backboard if he was trying to jump up to dunk a basketball.
That was the
he went up so
perfect
high
time.
to get it.
That was the perfect time as a football player to turn around to the defensive back and do the too small.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
He would have been taken off field and reamed a few new ones if he would have done that in at the time fairly tight SEC game. Kirby would have been very not okay with that.
For sure. And of course, Oscar Delp had some good catches as well, but really want to highlight the blocking these guys did all game because the way that they opened things up, both for Gunnar Stockton and for the 300 yards rushing that Georgia got on the day, just absolutely elite. Maybe got away with some things here and there as we talked about before we went on, but overall, they had a lot to do with the success on the ground. And then obviously they contributed pretty heavily to the success that we had through the air as well, which I don't want to downplay it because obviously the running game is the story here. Stockton was a little less accurate than he's been all year, but it's still a pretty good stat line through the air. And the tight ends had a lot to do with both of those. So they really helped keep the offense going.
And Oscar made a number of very impressive catches. But if y'all have listened to the show for a while now, you know that we love Lawson Lucky like no other tight end that's currently on this team. And his mom did put out a post that he's okay. It was a concussion, but terrifying few moments. That was just
when he wasn't moving, I didn't know what to think. But I'm so glad that he's physically all right. Like, take the time you need to get healthy.
Absolutely. I'm not going to be upset if we have no Lawson this week because he's taking care of his brain, especially when you have guys like Elias and Jaden Riddell behind you.
Yeah, Lawson Lucky is another one of those guys, and this team has a lot of them, but another one of those guys who just gives everything that they have for this team, no matter what their role ends up being. It's really the lumberjack philosophy that goes into this. Lawson Lucky is just one of those dudes.
Yeah. Georgia this year does not have a lot of household names. They don't have flashy guys. They just have 120 dudes.
Yeah.
And man, like that's the kind of thing that as a fan and an appreciator of diehard football, I love it.
Yeah.
Whatever happens the rest of this season, I love the fact that this team goes out and fights their ass off each and every play, and they visibly care about each other. Like Kirby Smart had to escort Oscar Delp away from checking on Lawson Lucky.
Yeah.
as guys that are technically competing for playing time and touches with each other.
Which that reminded me, and I hate to drag this on, but nobody talks about this, and I wanted to bring it up. There's a picture from the 2021 National Championship game after it was over of JT Daniels lifting up Stetson Bennett in celebration. Like, the fans pitted those two guys against each other all year, and JT was just so happy that Stetson got this moment and that this team won this championship. And that a lot of this has to do with the Kirby Smart philosophy of, it's just whatever the 11 best guys are. You guys are a family, and whoever the 11 best are for this play, we're going to put on the field. But these tight ends are so close. And obviously we've seen in a lot of the sideline footage how close Gunner and Lawson Lucky are. And just this team, they all love each other and they all love the game of football. And I will take that over 65 stars that cost us $40 million who are all going to transfer for the highest bidder next year, any day of the week.
Absolutely. I'm looking for that picture now because I'm not sure if I've seen it.
It's on my meme page if you scroll far enough. If it takes that, I posted it back in the day.
I will do that the next time I have approximately 12 hours to get that far back.
Yeah, that will take a while.
All right, y'all, that's going to do it for this episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. Man, we appreciate y'all. Like I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm not going through the whole thing this week. We appreciate each and every one of you for listening to us and going along with this journey. I mean, we have multiple people every week messaging, trying to be voters on the poll that we're doing. And it's awesome. I feel like we may not have the most listeners out there, but we truly have a community where I have conversations with a lot of you each and every week and about anything. Like whatever it is, if y'all need to reach out and talk to somebody about anything, hit us up on any of our social medias. We're always down. We want to build not just our brand, but truly a community where you guys can be part of the conversations. One of the reasons we do these lives with comments on is if you have something to say about something, we want to hear it. But I didn't say this at the beginning. Sundays we're YouTube live at 8. Thursdays we are getting back to it. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm waiting on everything to upload tonight, get Thursday's stream set up so I don't have an excuse this week. We're pretty excited about the rest of the season and are super happy that y'all are coming along with us. But always remember, y'all, there's nothing finer in the land
than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan.